The reptile community have loads of animals that are readily accessible for beginners, but the animals on this list you need a bit of experience with. Hello and welcome back to Toto's Tales. Hope you're doing very well. A few days ago I did a video about the 5 best reptiles for beginners. The 5 that in my opinion are the best animals that if you're a beginner in the hobby and you want to get into it, you should go with. Whereas today I'm going to be talking about 5 animals that are incredibly hard to care for, to keep alive, to maintain. Also animals that will cause your own health concerns and stuff like that. Now, I would like to preface this by saying I don't really think there is anything, with a few exceptions that will be in this video, as a beginner animal or an experienced animal. If you have done your research, and I mean properly done your research, not just watched me or a couple other people and gone, yeah, I roughly know what I'm doing. I mean, you know back to front the animal's care requirements. You can go with what animal you want. Some people responded to my beginner's reptile video with, oh, but people could get a boa as their first animal. And it's like, absolutely. They absolutely could. You could go for a normal BCI. And if you've done all the research, then yeah, you'll be sorted. But these 5 animals or groups of animals are more that you need to have some form of experience within the hobby, keeping specialised pets, to be able to actually look after them, and some of them you shouldn't really have them at all. So we're starting off with number 5, and I'm going with tegus. Now, it's not the hardest animal to look after, really. You see a lot of people with tegus on YouTube as pets, and a lot of the time they just look like big dogs, and you think, oh well, they're just like the dogs of the reptile world, and that can be the case. However, in particular, rescue tegus or unsocialized tegus can be incredibly hard to deal with. Because of their size, they have a bit of a punch when it comes to their bite, which can cause stitches in a lot of cases, and if you're new to the hobby, you won't really know how to deal with that. Their enclosure size is big. You need a lot of floor space, so if you're not equipped for that, then you're not providing the care that that tegu needs, and it will become more hostile to you, more defensive, and it just keeps that ball rolling of issues. Additionally, just their defensive behaviour can be incredibly intimidating. So if you get a tegu from a baby and socialise it incredibly well, then yeah, tegus are going to be great for you, but you really need to know what you're doing. Number 4, and I'm going with chameleons. Now, this more is to the hard to care for aspect, because the joke kind of thing about chameleons is that if you look at them the wrong way, they might die. And their care requirements are so specialised. You really need to have everything to the degree, to the light percentage, to the feeding times, to the feeding diet, everything perfect, and even then you still might get unlucky and the chameleon still dies. So a short one there, but chameleons are just so hard to go with. I know they look amazing, and a lot of times chameleons are one of the first reptiles people experience from when they were little, but if you're wanting to go with that, I would recommend going with a leopard gecko, crested gecko, bearded dragon, something like that first, so you get your bearings a wee bit, and then you can go from there. Right, these top 3 are kind of the main reason that I'm making the video generally. And in number 3 we have the crocodilian sect of the reptile community. Crocodiles, alligators, etc. Just don't do it. It's not really a thing over here in the UK and in Europe, but in America there is understandably a large appeal to have alligators or crocodiles as pets, and just do not do it. They are never ever going to be well socialized enough that you could just leave them with anybody, because they are always going to be wild animals. Yes, there will be exceptions to the rules, but they are typically in zoos or giant big nature reserves with specialized people with degrees who are looking after them, and even then they will still always have a very healthy balance between looking after them and being in respect to them. A lot of the time it's just blatantly illegal to have these animals as pets. It's not fair on these animals for a lot of them to have them as pets, because the size that they get to, the amount of food they need, the natural environments that people in an everyday household cannot replicate. I know some people will be sat there going, what do you mean no one really keeps those animals as pets? I absolutely promise you they do. The highest profile one, of course, in the reptile community is Emily and Ed at Snake Discovery with Rex. However, they themselves continuously say to people, do not get alligators as a pet. Rex is very much a unique situation due to how she grew up and was in a very bad situation, and Emily and Ed can put her in a zoo, in a big vivarium and everything like that, and even then they still struggle with her, and it's such a commitment. So just please don't do that. Coming in at number 2, it is iguanas. Now, iguanas again are animals that people look at and go, they would be really cool to have as pets. I'm going to go for that. Do not. The main focus of this is going to be kind of green iguanas, but there are so many other iguana species as well. Their bite is apparently horrific and can be really dangerous in some situations. They will tail whip. They will be very, very defensive. Again, their care requirements are so specialized. Like, you need to have you basically need a room. It's not fair to them to have them in anything else other than a big room for them, and most people will just put them in a vivarium or a tank or something like that. So don't go with that. They need specialized heating, specialized UVB on top of just regular heating and UVB that we all have to deal with, which will cost an insane amount of money. They're feeding, they're such big animals, so they need to be fed a lot all the time. As I just said as well, they're huge, so you can't just have something like this, a 4x2x2 or a 3x2x2 or an 18x18x36. You need a room, as I've just said, but also the animal themselves are huge. They are so big, so dangerous to the average person. No go. And then finally, number 1, the hardest to look after section of reptiles, the group of reptiles that you need to have specialist care for, that you need to have basically qualifications in, and not everyone should be doing it, is, of course, anything venomous. Or HOTS, as some people call them. Venomous snakes / reptiles generally are just... listen, there's a big venomous community, and I'm not going to sit here and say, no one should have them, because that's obviously not the case. We need it a lot of time for anti-venom and stuff like that. It's very, very important. But I'm talking about the average everyday person should not be keeping venomous unless you have either qualifications in it, you're fully trained, you know the risks, it's something that you are fully understanding of, because you could die. Like everything else in this list is really hard to deal with, and you could cause hospital complications for yourself, the animal themselves could die, whereas this one, you could just die. For me, and this part is just my opinion, it's never worth it to have venomous snakes, because I think some venomous snakes are absolutely beautiful, but the risk is never enough for me. That's again me not discounting the venomous community, because I fully respect it. I'm fascinated by it, and to the people who are knowledgeable enough, brave enough and dedicated enough, they create amazing situations for some wonderful animals. But the average everyday person should not be dealing with any form of venomous animals. And that's everything. So I imagine there will be some controversy in this. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because you might change my opinion, I might have changed yours, who knows. But if you have enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. Let me know any other video ideas that you have in the comments and I'll get to them. But until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.